Hi, I'm Leo Tresande. I'm a pediatrician and researcher who studies the impacts of chemicals on the hormones in our bodies. It's great to feel confident that when we buy food in the supermarket, it's free of microbial contamination. Whenever there's a concern about this kind of contamination, you hear advisories from the Food and Drug Administration that tell you about the particular brand or item that's of concern, and people take proactive steps to get them out and make sure that we don't get sick as a result. Now, you'd think that the Food and Drug Administration has the same ability and oversight over invisible ingredients that are intentionally added to foods or that unintentionally get into foods through contact with food packaging or other surfaces. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. And the Food and Drug Administration doesn't have the same kind of oversight. In particular, companies can vouch that certain ingredients are generally recognized as safe without any proof that these chemicals are free from harm in the first place. Fortunately, there are some safe and simple steps you can take to limit your exposure to these chemicals in the first place. One of the steps you can take is thinking about microwaving your food. Now, I microwave my food too, but there are things that I do to limit the exposures of concern. In particular, you might be used to seeing the label microwave safe. Now, that's a misleading label, unfortunately. It was done for different reasons, through warping of plastic and things like that are much more obvious. But at a more subtle microscopic level, when you microwave the plastic, you basically wear down the protective coating. And over time, there's greater contamination of the chemical components of the plastic that get right into food. So in general, my advice is that microwaving in plastic is not the right thing to do. In fact, if I get a plastic package with food, let's say it's frozen, I'll immediately put that food into glass. Also, reading the recycling number on the bottom of plastic containers is a great step to proactively limit these exposures in the first place. The numbers 3, 6, and 7 represent chemical exposures that we know are greatest concern. Phthalates are known to affect testosterone function as well as the way our body metabolizes carbohydrates and fats. Styrene, number 6, is a known carcinogen, and 7 is a category of bisphenols that are known estrogens and have other consequences for obesity and other risks for human health. So 3, 6, and 7 are the numbers to avoid in general. And if a plastic container is obviously etched or scratched, it's time to throw it away. In addition, reducing canned food consumption is a great way to limit your exposure to bisphenols. You might think that BPA-free, which has gotten a lot of attention in the news, is the way to go. Unfortunately, they're now a potpourri of other bisphenols, S, P, F, Z, just to name a few. And so when you see something that's bisphenol A free, you can't be confident it's free of other bisphenols. So in general, reducing or eliminating your consumption of canned food is a great way to reduce your exposure to bisphenol based on detectable levels in your urine. In addition, eating organic is a great way to reduce your levels of pesticides in your urine. Now finally, and this may make you uncomfortable for those of you who have nonstick cooking. Nonstick cooking has a group of chemicals called perfluoroalkyl compounds. It's a long mouthful to say, but these are chemicals that make the surface non-stick. And unfortunately, these non-stick chemicals can absorb into food and get into your body that way. And especially with time, as those wear down under high heat, the material can more proactively enter the food in the first place. So in our home, we take that extra step and wash off the old school iron cast pans or other materials that may take a little bit more work to manage, but in the long run, reduce your exposure to these chemicals of concern. So it doesn't require a PhD in chemistry to eat healthy. Through those safe and simple steps, you can reduce your exposure to these chemicals of greatest concern. So bon appetit.